still a b-boy. From the old to the new, still a b-boy. Too bold for the school, still a b-boy. East coast to the west, b-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a b-boy.
This week, we are talking about one of the top dual threat artists in hip hop history. Whether producing or rhyming, this founding member of EPMD just got better with time. This week, we're talking about the Green Eyed Bandit, top 10 Erick Sermon solo songs. Joining me, as always, Raven Hunter, and back, Surreal the MC. We're going to hold this down, and I'll start us off to the year 1995. The album is Double or Nothing, and I'm going with the song Welcome. It's got Keith Murray on the hook. It's got a really memorable chorus, but I really thought this album was kind of a bridge between his EPMD sounding production into what he would become later in the 90s, early 2000s. To me, like No Pressure sounded like an EPMD record without Parrish, where this, he was kind of evolving, I thought. Things just seemed cleaner and crisper and a little bit tighter. That funky beat was a bona fide head nodder I wrote down. I don't know why I use that wording. Erick's lyrics and flow were just evolving on this album. This is a great example. So Welcome. That hook always sticks in my mind. It's my number 10. What's yours, Raven?
I actually went to 1993, No Pressure, with the song Hostile with Keith Murray. Because, man, that's a real hard beat. And I love Keith Murray, and I love Def Squad when they're together. So you'll probably hear multiple, Keith and or Redman features on my list. But Erick works really good with both of them. And there's a few other members that were in Def Squad that didn't get as much play and shit. But Hostile with Keith Murray, it's one of the first times I kind of remember hearing Keith Murray. So I love the voice and his flow from the jump on that album.
That was an honorable mention, already getting things crossed off my list. All right. What's your number 10?
My number 10 is from No Pressure, Stay Real. I always remember I had this was the time when I was like, I had a lot of things on cassette, but I was getting them on CD. I would join Columbia House and like maybe get them on tape, or I'd get them on tape. Tapes were cheaper. I go to the mall and get the tape, and if I really like it, I buy the CD. I know that sounds weird, but that's kind of how we did things back then. Yeah. And I remember that No Pressure, that a lot of the East Coast, some of my favorite East Coast producers and rappers, they didn't have the most bass in the car. And this was also the era where everybody had the 15s in their trunk. But I remember Erick Sermon's beats beat in the trunk. Like they had a lot of bass. So I remember the beat to Stay Real. And then when he talks about picking up his kids for Happy Meals, it's just relatable. It's just a good song.
It is. And speaking about Columbia House, I think all of us probably still owe them a lot of money.
Facts.
When I went to college in the 90s, like 96 or whatever, I had a fake name at college, and that I had a second Columbia House or BMG subscription. My dad would get the mail once when I was done with college. They forwarded it to my dad's apartment, I remember, and he was like, I think the name was like Denny Bobsill, and it was a complete made up name. And he was like, "Who's getting all these tapes and CDs?" I'm like, "I don't know, Dad."
I had an account under Chris, under Christopher, under CJ, under my dad's name. Just nonstop boxes of CDs and tapes coming from them. That's probably why they're not around anymore. Not because of digital. It's because we fucking robbed them.
A lot.
A lot. All right. I'll go right into it. My number 9 from No Pressure is Stay Real. You pretty much explained it good. EPMD breaks up, and I know a lot of people are wondering what would they sound like on their own. And to me, I kind of said it before, No Pressure to me sounds like an EPMD record with no Parrish. When Parrish came out with his solo, it didn't sound like an EPMD record with no E. And that's where things started not becoming even as far as success, I believe. But Stay Real is a dope song with a dope beat. Erick proved right away he could do it on his own. And No Pressure is an album I think people kind of overlook a little bit. So my number 9 was Stay Real. What's yours, Raven?
Yeah, I think Double or Nothing always got a lot more love than No Pressure did. And No Pressure, like you said, it still felt like EPMD. But I actually went to Double or Nothing 95 for Open Fire, which had Redman and Keith Murray in it. I love the beat, and I love Redman in this track. Like he used to just kill shit back in those mid to early '90s eras. That's Redman was just nasty with it, and it's just a great beat from Eric, and even Eric writes that beat like better than he does in some of the other songs on that album.
And I think that was the last track on that
Yep.
album too. So it was a good way to end it with literally Def Squad killing it. Yeah, Redman was still hungry, so he just
Oh yeah,
rapped
he was
hungry
nasty
and
back then.
raw. Yeah, yeah, that's a great era of Reggie Noble. Number 9, Surreal.
My number 9 is the title track off the Music album called Music with the Marvin Gaye singing. It's a lighter song. It's more of a single, or Eric's produced a lot of R&B over the years too. I like more of the harder hip hop stuff, but the Def Squad, the EPMD, his solo stuff. You can't deny the song music's very, very catchy. It's a really well written and produced song. It's one of those you can play over and over, and it had to make my list. It's just 9. It's lower down.
And it relates to everyone. That's why it was such even a
Yeah.
crossover hit, because everyone can relate to how music makes you feel and all that. But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know I read on the story just the other day when I was doing all this, how he got those vocals from Marvin Gaye. He was listening to unused outtakes from Marvin Gaye from the 70s, and that's where all those vocals, they were unused outtakes, and he turned them into the hook and stuff for music. So it's just crazy to hear they were just throwaways, and he came upon them and made a hit song out of them. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. All right, we are at number 8, and I'm going to take us to 2004's Chilltown, New York. And I got the song I'm Not Him. Man, Green Eyed Bandit was hitting on all cylinders in the early 2000s. He put out 3 albums in 4 years, and they were all really quality. And this was the last album of his I think I really, really liked. But this song always stuck in my head, that sample in the hook, which on paper seemed like it would be annoying. It's a real high-pitched sample, but to me it works. And Eric brings it lyrically too. So my number 8 is I'm Not Him. Interesting sample in the hook. What's your number 8, Raven?
This one surprised me. It was from ESP, Erick Sermon's Perception in 2015. It was the song Make Room with Joel Ortiz and Chic Luch. I love that beat. I don't remember if I heard this album when it first came out. Like I said, around the time React came out, it's kind of when I got out of Eric. But that beat's really hard. Chic goes off in that first verse, and I'm a huge D Block fan. I love the Locks, and I'm the odd one that always really thought Chic was the best one in the group. So him on an Erick Sermon beat just really worked. And Joel Ortiz went hard in that track too.
So we're on 8, Surreal.
So I'm breaking the rules already. My number 8 is from Insomnia, which was an Erick Sermon album / kind of a
Compilation.
compilation,
Yeah.
but he had his hands on all the songs.
Yep.
But I just wanted it to be mentioned because it's a great project, but he doesn't actually rap on the song. It's Funkorama. Redman's the lead MC on the song. A lot of the Def Squad crews in the video and stuff. And it was released as a single in a video on Yo MTV Raps and stuff. But since it's on an Erick Sermon project, I'm kind of breaking the rules, but I just wanted to. It's such a great project. I needed to sneak it in somehow.
When we did the
Yeah,
Redman list,
some of them.
Funkorama made my top 10.
Yeah.
I love that beat.
Man,
It's a great song.
it's one of those
song.
late. Remember Tribe Called Quest, Electric Relaxation, Relax Yourself. Funkorama's kind of like that, where it's laid back, but it's still hardcore hip hop.
Right.
Like there's a few songs over the years that just kind of meet those criterias and they have that replay value, but they're not. Not everything's dead prez. I wish it was, but it's not.
And that was a solid compilation. Some of the artists kind of came and went and you're never heard from again, but you had the Keith Murrays and the Redmans, and I think Jamal's on there. Crossbreed, I remember. But
Yep.
this is a dope compilation.
Yeah, there was like the Winstons, so there was a couple funk groups on there and stuff on the.
All right, I'll take us to number 7. And I'm going to the year, I'm jumping all around. 2002's React. And I'm going with the song Love Is. Although this is kind of like a music part 2, it's the same idea, the same formula. But that doesn't make it less of a dope song and great sample. Instead of Marvin Gaye on music, you got Al Green sample, hook, and throughout the verses. I think the lyrics are dope and he rides the beat perfectly. A funny side note is, so he has a line in here where he says, whoever killed Pac and Smalls, they lame. So whenever I see anything about them, like their murder, who shot Tupac, I always think, whoever it was, they lame. That line always stuck out to me. But Love Is off of React was my number 7. What's yours, Raven?
I went back to 95's Double or Nothing for the song Do Your Thing. I just love the beat and I love the vibe of that song. It's just such a nice flowing, just chill vibe. I don't know. I don't remember liking that song as much as I do now, but I love that track now.
I thought Double or Nothing held up real good. I mean, even production
Facts.
wise, quality, you know.
Oh
if
yeah,
it,
it's still classic Eric.
oh, no doubt. That was a dope album. That was always kind of my favorite Erick Sermon album, even before. So number 7, what about you, Surreal?
This is one I was never really high up, and then when you gave me this project, I was revisiting his discography off the Eric Onassis album. So Sweet with Easy E.
Yeah.
It must be a nostalgia thing, but like that East Coast meets West Coast, I really like it now. Back then, I kind of didn't give it much. I didn't pay much attention to it, I guess. And I was listening to stuff the other day. I was like, I like this song. So Sweet with Easy.
That was an honorable mention. And I think it didn't make my list because it's just a recycled easy verse from his album.
Right.
But Eric sounded
Right.
good on that Erick Sermon. Eric sounded good on the Eric beat. So that's why I made my honorable mention. And Easy E always kind of pulls at my heartstring. So we are at 6 already. And I'm going to another new album. I'm going to the year 2000. But wait, Erick Sermon didn't put out a solo album in 2000. I'm going with the compilation Lyricist Lounge 2. And the song is Battle. This beat, god damn. The sampling of LL's Rock the Bells. I'll battle anybody. It's just done so perfectly. I mean, this is like just get hype music. Features Cy Scott, who kills it. Eric brings it lyrically, but it's just that hook. It just draws me in, and it's such a dope beat and sample. And shout out to Lyricist Lounge 2 is a really good compilation. If you want that real boom bap hip hop, this has got a lot of good stuff on it. So Battle had to make my list. So that was my number 6. Raven.
I went to 2002 React, which is actually honest. That's probably my favorite album now from Erick Sermon. I love the beats and the way he rides the beats in that album. And I know Just Blaze did a bunch of beats on that album. It wasn't all done by Eric, but it just fit. And I went with Here I Is. Just I love the beat and I love the way he flows that track. It's just a really good, fun track.
No, I think from like React and music, even going Double to Nothing through React. I mean, he was hitting on all cylinders, and he was really evolving not only in production, but if you compare his lyrics in React and music, and then listen to old EPMD, you can tell it's
like
he's a much better rapper. As much as I loved him and I love that old EPMD music, I mean, he evolves so much, and if you take the nostalgia out of it, it's much better, 20 years later. All right, number 6, Surreal.
Your number 6 is right in line with what you guys are talking about right now from React. The title track, React with Redman, for the exact same reasons you guys were just saying, like just the evolution of him as an artist, a producer, and just an icon from the golden era and till now, till 2024. He's working on that new, like a 2 or 3 disc. I mean, album project right now and it's a different duo on everyone, like Outkast, and this is something that he was just talking about on a podcast recently too. The new thing he's working with is with like all these greats.
Yeah.
And anyway, but React, the title track, is my number 6.
When it comes to that song, I always would love to know the backstory on that. I pictured them like sitting around going through samples of records, and then you hear like that Arabic sample, and someone's like, whatever she said, I'm that. And then they all bust
I'm
out
that.
laughing. And it had to be something like that.
Golly.
Because that it still gets me. You hear that sample, whatever she said, I'm that.
Yep.
Is great. It's genius. It's genius. That is a dope ass song. We are halfway through number 5, and I'm going back to his first one, 93's No Pressure, the ill shit featuring Ice Cube and Cam. Doesn't get much better than mid 90's Cube and Cam on your song. It kind of has the same vibe of the Watch Riot song off of Cam's album with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Not quite as political, but the same type of vibe. It's a perfect sample for the hook of Ice Cube. Eric did his thing. Cam is in his prime and kills it. But then it's 93. Ice Cube comes in and just kills it like he did in that era, top of the mountain type MC. And man, this is my kind of hip hop. I love Cam. We got to do a Cam list once. Not talked about enough.
Yeah.
But the ill shit,
I'm with that.
what a dope ass song. Damn, I'm playing it in my head already. Number 5 was the ill shit on my list. What was on your list, Raven?
Ill shit would have been my number 11. I had 14 that I had to whittle down from, but my number 5, for the first time, I went to Eric Onassis from 2000 with the song Hostility with Keith Murray and Redman. Because it's Keith Murray, Redman, Erick Sermon. This was when the same era Death Squad's El Nino came out, and they were really just clicking. The three of them on that production was just perfect. And that's my favorite era of Redman too, just because I love how they played, and nobody dialed it in. Everybody was in it. You know what I mean? I love that whole era. They each put out an album plus Death Squad that year, and it was fucking awesome.
Those three had crazy chemistry. I mean, it worked perfect. And that was another honorable mention. It was kind of like Hostile Part 2. It's kind of like the idea behind it. But no, that's a dope song that was on an honorable mention. What's number 5 on your list, Surreal?
Since I'm cheating already, might as well stick with that. From the unreleased and revamped Cypress Hill EP, Throw Your Hands in the Air, the remix. I think Erick Sermon's verse is insane on it. Like,
it's
I know that's
great.
not really, and it was released as a, it's different than the version that was on Temples from Cypress Hill. It was released as its own video single, and so I was like, that kind of makes it count. Obviously, Redman, MC8 are on there too, but dope. But then that's one of my favorite verses by him, so I had to put it on the list.
That revamped album, not many tracks, but there's some really good ones. The one with the Fugees.
The Fugees remix was awesome.
Super dope. Super.
Yeah, Boom Biddy Bye Bye. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was great. All right, we are to number 4, and I am taking us back to. No, I'm taking us here for the first time. 2001's Music. I thought I took us there first, but I'm going with the song The Sermon. Now, regular listeners will know that I'm a sucker for on the reel songs, and songs like this just kind of hit me in the chest and speak to me. It's got that haunting, faster beat, but how he flows on it, I think works perfectly. Just real deep emotions in his words, and it's just an amazing song from an amazing album. And I just love songs like that. It just hits me in my feelers. So that's my number 4. Raven, what's yours?
React from React. That song, perfect Redman energy, perfect Redman beat. Redman goes crazy in that song, and I love that hook, and I laugh all the time over that shit still. It's got to be like you said, they were literally just in the studio high listening to shit, and they were just let's do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the perfect vibe for Death Squad in that era.
I would love to know the backstory. All right, we are on 4. Surreal.
So one thing I noticed that with the Golden Era MCs, Erick Sermon and EPMD included, do a really good job of keeping the old, middle, and newer songs in the streaming platforms. In fact, most of the discography is on Bandcamp even. So, there's other artists where they just didn't quite, like they're still in the tapes and CD, like they didn't quite get the streaming thing as well as like the E-Double did. In fact, my number 4 is from the E-Double mixtape, and I believe the song's also on the Def Squad album, but it's on the E Double mixtape, which is a compilation that was a streaming compilation, but there's also hard copies. The song Countdown with Jamal of Illegal and Def Squad. That one's super slick. But when I was going back, I noticed there's kind of a fine line what's official releases and what's mixtape, and I know a lot of it was on Dat Piff, which I don't think is streaming in it. Dat Piff's not around anymore. I think some of their stuff's on YouTube, but I think it's not a website anymore. But anyway, this was a non-official release that actually got an official release, so I figured it counted. Countdown.
And Jamal and Illegal, another ones who don't get brought up enough. I love that Illegal album. And Jamal was always super dope on the mic. And I think
they were one of the first to have the red tape.
Right.
Remember that?
Right. They had a red tape, and the CD even was red with like a black background.
I don't think I ever had the
I
CD.
think the case was red, kind of like a Redman's There's a Dark Side. I think it was red like that, if I remember that correctly. But Jamal is super dope, and people nowadays, unless they're older like us, I don't think many know the name. Top 3. And I'm going to go to 2002's React. You two talked about it, the song React. Like we said, just makes me smile and nod my head. Redman is the perfect guest for a beat and song like this, and he doesn't disappoint. And in the video, he's even wearing a Milwaukee Brewers jacket in the video after he's swinging on a rope and yanking a weave off of some chick's head. What more could you want, right? Well, what more could you want? Everything else has been said about it. The hook, genius. I just love that song. Makes me happy. So React was my number 3. Raven, what's yours?
I went to 2012's Breath of Fresh Air, and I went with Dodge This, and it's the track featuring Sheik Luch. And it's the first track that he had done with Sheik. I think they've done like 3 tracks together now, but Sheik goes so fucking hard on this beat. Eric goes so fucking hard with this beat. Like it's a hard ass song that I really didn't remember, because I'm not sure if I ever really got into the Breath of Fresh Air album when it dropped. But this is like prime Sheik, like when he dropped his solo album type shit. Like he was just, D-Block was just hitting at the time, and it was great to hear him and Eric together. They complemented each other well. So they made my list twice together. So,
which brings us to Surreal. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is another one that's with Def Squad on El Nino, but also on mixtapes and stuff. Checking Me Out. That bass line. And I don't even know what I should go on, like who sampled it. That noise. I don't know where he found that one. You know what I'm talking about? Checking Me Out. Like, I need to like research that, because it's one of those beats where a noise makes part of it, like the catchiness of it all. That tape, the Def Squad El Nino, the cassette actually came in like one of the recyclable, like it looked like a cigarette box.
Cigarette pack. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Hello Nasty Beasties was like that.
Yes.
The Firms album was like that, and so was Queen Pen's album.
Those were cool.
I don't know why talking about the illegal tape made me think of all these tapes for some reason. But checking Me Out with Keith and Redman.
That Def Squad El Nino album, that almost is a 5 micer to me. That is just
I love it. I love that.
Oh, dope. There's nothing filler on it. There's nothing weak about it. It's damn near perfect while they're in their prime. Such a good record. Number 2, and I'm going to Double or Nothing, 95, and I'm going with the song, here's the single, Bomb Diggy. Although not my number 1, this may be my favorite Erick Sermon song ever. It was the first single off this album, and it was the perfect choice. This was just a motherfucking jam in 95 for me. I played the shit out of this tape. Funky Erick Sermon beat, dope lines, showing again how he was evolving from EPMD. And there was a remix on the cassette single, and that beat was really, really dope too. It's just like,
it was on the wax too.
Yeah, just everything about this song was just amazing. Man, I love Bomb Diggy. It's the Bomb Diggy. So that was my number 2. Raven, what's yours?
So I got a fellow Surreal suit a little bit, and I gotta cheat a little bit for this one.
Might as well.
So in 1993, around the time Illegal dropped their album back in the day, they put out "We Gets Busy," and the maxi single had the Erick Sermon remix on side B, and it's
Yeah.
such a goddamn good remix. And Eric goes so fucking hard in that song, like harder than he was going back in 1993 on that fucking
Right.
beat. And of course, Illegal always killed it. Somewhere around here, I've got that album and that CD single, and I always love that shit. It is also on E-Double, which is kind of an official release, so that's how I justified putting it on here. But yeah, that Illegal remix was fucking fire.
He made so many dope remixes for artists in, the 90s.
Oh yeah.
It was like him and Pete Rock had a remix on every other rapper's
Every album.
single, it seemed, right?
Every New York album had
Every
a remix
New York,
from one of them.
One of those two, yeah. They were getting paid for their board skills. All right, number 2, Surreal.
Well, first off, this is, of all the times we've done this together, both of you guys' list is better than mine tonight. I feel like you guys really did your homework. And I've been right, like the
Slacker.
battle, the lyrics lounge to that battle song. Like as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go listen to that, because that I completely forgot about that. But both of you guys' list is way better than my list. I'm like, dang, they're killing me tonight. Not that it's a competition, it's a discussion.
But if it was,
usually I feel like I'm bringing like the weird B-side remixes, and today you guys are killing me. My number 2 is from No Pressure, Hostile, Keith Murray. I mean, we've already covered it, but it's just beat, video, rhymes, guest appearance. It's like flawless. It's not even that long of a song, which songs were kind of long back then. They were like 4.5 minutes, but you could still throw it on today if you're spinning a party or something, and people be like, all right. Yeah, it holds up.
And that's why it was an honorable mention. But we'll get to the end. Number 1. I just had to. 2001's music, the song music. It's just a genius idea. And that Marvin Gaye sample is just perfect. It's all put together perfect. His lyrics are perfect. The theme is perfect. Even though it's not my favorite Erick Sermon song, I think it's his best. So I had to put it at number 1. I talked about the outtakes where he got it. And it's just impossible to not love this song. If you don't like this song, you don't have a soul. And I'm going on record with that. It's just music. So that had to be my number 1. Raven, what's yours?
I think that song's alright.
Ooh, you're a hater.
I'm not a hater. It's just, it's like when I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm about to smoke and put on some music. I don't put some slow shit on like that. So I don't hate on the song, but it's not the vibe, that I'm usually looking for when I'm trying to pump some Erick Sermon. Something like Do Re Mi with LL Cool J and Scarface as my number 1. That is what I go for from music, same album, but it's LL was in his GOAT phase, and he was just going hard, and he goes so hard on this beat. Scarface, I love Scarface, not my favorite Scarface verse. He doesn't sound as good on an Erick Sermon beat as LL and Eric did, but it's still Scarface, so I still let it play, and I still like it. But LL alone kind of got this to number 1 for me. You know how I am with LL anyway. But he fucking beat the shit out of this beat.
And he does. He sounds exactly like he did on the GOAT album, just like fucking hard. You can tell it was that era. Surreal, number 1 on your list and heart. Is it an actual Erick Sermon song?
It is an actual Erick Sermon song. Okay. Originally from the Who's the Man soundtrack, and there was also on the No Pressure. One of the hardest beats of all time, in my opinion. Hitting Switches. That beat is ridiculous. It's one of those beats where I make that face. I mean, when this is all said and done, we should have been talking about this song a lot more. I feel like it is just like the bass line, the drum pattern. It is just like hardcore hip hop. It makes me like I'm on the Boondocks, hitting switches. It's ridiculous. I remember that Who's the Man, Ed Lover and Dr. Dre, Yo MTV Raps soundtrack, and it's like the House of Pain song on that soundtrack's really good. There's Naughty by Nature. No, yeah.
Are they?
Or am I? Uptown Anthem, or is that Juice?
That's
Boy.
Juice.
That
I
was
don't
Juice,
think Naughty's on Who's the Man.
No, they're just in the movie.
Biggie is. But Biggie is. That was Party and Bullshit. Yeah.
Party and
yeah.
Bullshit. That okay, yeah. But man, that beat is so ridiculous. The rhymes, the whole thing, it's one of those whole packages. To me, it was cool too when East Coast dudes did lowrider songs too. Like Master Ace was another guy
Right.
with Born to Roll. Like because I'm right in the middle in Nebraska, Iowa, Nebraska, like right in the middle. So New York's real far away from me. LA's real far away from me. Detroit's real far away from me. Atlanta's real far away from me. Everything's real far away from me. So, I mean, you kind of can relate, but you're up north, so Detroit's not so far, and in Minneapolis,
Chicago,
is far, but right. The what I'm getting at though is like Erick producing and recording a song that goes with like the lowrider scene, and you would like put in bass car competitions, like a Too Short song was like that alone was like super cool to me, I guess.
Yeah, Hitting Switches was an honorable mention. And talking about like Born to Roll, one of the most iconic like car West Coast sounding songs is done from someone from Brooklyn.
That beat. I love that beat so much.
And that whole record is really good. INC Ride was on that record too. And if you have no previous knowledge of Master Ace and you just hear that, you assume he's from LA or maybe the Bay. It's so West Coast sounding, just that record. His other stuff before and after wasn't. It was just interesting. I love that record. We should do a Master Ace list now.
I'm in.
I love Master Ace too. I mean, Slaughterhouse. Ooh, I played the shit out of that tape.
Never hear me talking like a killer, man. You're gonna have to edit all this out when I talk about Master Ace for about 10 hours.
But honorable mentions. First time listening, if a song didn't get brought up when I thought it needs some love, I just give it an honorable mention. Tell 'Em from Double or Nothing and Boy Meets World. I always love that beat. From Music, Come Through. And I had to put the Ain't No Future 2001, the remake of the MC Breed, No Future in Your Frontin' song. That was on Music.
Oh, yeah.
And I love MC Breed, so that was more of a personal thing. Party Right and Don't Give Up from React. Relentless from Chilltown. There's a song called Serious on ESP that is a real, like on the real serious song. And then on his newest one is a song called Cabinet. And he's talking about if he was president, what rappers he would assign to different roles, like Lauryn Hill was the head of, school or whatever the hell, however he said it. I just thought that was a cool concept I had never heard before. What are we missing?
I had Why Not with Slick Rick.
Yeah.
Clout with KRS-One and Daydreamers with Too Short. Those, and then everybody else mentioned the other couple I had.
A first ballot Hall of Famer, just production wise. Then you throw in all of his rhyming. Just a legend. I'm glad we got to Erick Sermon. So that's Erick Sermon. Have a good night, guys. See y'all. Peace.
A B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy.